23 million US dollars in chicken neck and back is what we import to Jamaica annually. 13 million US dollars in beef offals. That's like the liver and the kidney. Beef trimmings is 16 million US. And then rice is 84 million US dollars. And so you might be asking, Lisa, why do we import so much US dollars worth of animal and rice? Well, it's simply because Jamaicans cannot afford to buy chicken, beef, or fish to feed their families. So they must resort to the parts of the animals, the cuts and the trimmings. Now, here's a disclaimer. I'm not in the PMP shadow cabinet, so what I'm about to say may not contend with their views. But this is something I've been speaking and writing about for years. In other words, the pot a boil, but the food not enough of the family them were out there. And I would like you to think for yourself and re-examine the data of some long-held beliefs of what others have tried to impose on you, saying that it is supposed to be in your best interest. Today, I want to highlight one of those beliefs and say why our people, as a result, remain unhealthy with obesity, high blood pressure, and other primary health ailments. It's because they can't afford to buy a balanced food basket. And for the non-vegetarians, this is because the price of chicken meat is out of their reach. I'm not going to any other meats today. You see, for decades, Jamaica has had a 250% duty protection on chicken meat. Globally, in other countries, the average import duty rate on chicken is 24%. So why are we paying 250%? Or why is the duty rate 250% in Jamaica? Is this really in our people's national interest? Or are we serving the interest of very few individuals, in particular two companies? Now, before you all have a knee-jerk reaction and say, but Lisa, it helps protect it because it helps with local production. Let us look at the data rather than emotion. You see, the international cost breakdown to produce a chicken is feed, largely corn. That makes up 61% of a chicken. Baby chicks is 18%. You have to house them, that's 7%. Other inputs are about 10%, and labor is only 4%. We don't make feed in Jamaica. We don't produce corn. We don't produce wheat. We don't produce soybean. Those are the inputs that go into the feed for a chicken. So what we refer to as feed mills in Jamaica are largely big silos and a mixer that blend up everything together, these imported inputs, and that goes into the final product, much in the same way that a mason, you see, mix up concrete, which are sandstone, cement, and water. But at least in concrete, all of those inputs are produced in Jamaica. So the local feed is for chicken is actually totally imported. So in effect, the local Jamaican direct cost input of chicken is less than 10%. Therefore, I really challenge the logic of providing excessive duty protections to any product with a local input that is less than 10%. I've been saying it for years. All of the inputs in animal feed are traded as commodities in the marketplace globally. And like oil, that price fluctuates in keeping with the laws of supply and demand. I bet you can't tell me how much corn has come down over the last 2 years. The price of corn has fallen from 801 US dollars in April 2022 to less than $392.50 today. Check it for yourself on tradingeconomics.com. You see, on straight mathematical terms, with that kind of 50% reduction in the cost of feed, which represents 61% of the cost input of a chicken, our chicken prices should have gone down by at least 30%. But guess what? They went up. So who is really benefiting? Certainly not the Jamaican people whose citizens find it hard to afford a whole chicken for dinner on a daily basis. Certainly not the workers at the factory whose pay remains much the same, and certainly not the Jamaican economy, as there's been very little growth in the agricultural sector generally for years. Did you know that if you apply for a permit to import a container load of chicken in any form, back parts, breast, wing, thigh, whatever, the Ministry of Agriculture first refers the matter to the two chicken monopoly producers to find out if they have any objections? Tell them to challenge me on this. What do you think will be their response? With that kind of system in place, there's effectively no real competition in the marketplace. As a matter of fact, there's no marketplace. You pay what the two local monopolies decide you should pay. And since it is so obvious, you will wonder, well, why is this backward policy been allowed to continue for decades? Well, the false fallacy is that we're saving the livelihood of 30,000 small farmers. But is this really true? And maybe after this video, you'll find them finding farmers who said, no, we've benefited, etc. But ask yourself if it is really true. Is it really true? It is the same two producers who sell the baby chicks to small farmers, the same two producers who sell the feed to small farmers. So it is in their interest to put the price of chicken as high as it can be so that they can convince us that they're actually acting in our best interest. So you see, when a mother comes into my constituency office and says, like they do all the time, and especially now with back to school, why MP, I need help with 50 chicken and some feed to send them go back to school. Either the state or me will actually purchase the chickens or the feed. But guess where I'm purchasing it from? The same people. So it's a vicious cycle that's not benefiting our people. And I feel so strongly about it because I'm tired of it. So here's a suggestion that might actually be in the best interest of Jamaican small farmers. And it's a suggestion. Reduce the duty on chicken to 50%, which would still be twice the international norm, and use the duty collected, because we actually don't collect any duty now. And use that duty to purchase baby chicks and distribute them free to small farmers. Them not for buy it. Therefore, and you could also eliminate the duty on feed and allow anyone, any little Jack Mandora, if they need a permit to bring in container loads to bring in chicken. It should not be only the big people who get permits. The result of such a policy or suggestion would not only lower the prices for chicken, but more people would be engaged in raising chickens. Jamaica has one of the highest diabetes rates in the world, and that is directly linked to the fact that they consume so much starch and carbohydrates because they need to feel full. They can't afford to buy protein. And this is because the average family is not feeding their families properly. So Jamaica has a policy that has kept the price of chicken high, which only benefits two chicken producing monopolies. And it puts the nation at a health risk, and then imposes on the general poor public to pay a high price for chicken, thereby having an unhealthy diet. You know, Marcus Garvey said, and his birthday was recent, that chance has never really satisfied the hope of a suffering people. And it's a powerful declaration because it means that to change ourselves positively and indeed the lives of the oppressed, we need to have deliberate purpose of effecting change, not to tinker along and hope that things will fix themselves. That is a foolhardy approach and quite frankly timid. I've bemoaned over the years that it's probably easier to buy a politician than to become one. So no, look, let's make everyone benefit, not only those with deep pockets. And I've been saying this for years. Let us re-examine our policies for Jamaicans to actually be able to afford healthy food, especially protein. It's time that we re-examine the duty protections that we have on chicken meat.